aole, ahila hila. Hone hone aole pilikia, aole, ahila hila. Hone hone aole pilikia. It's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man.
Aloha Friday.
We are presented by ES Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Pura Resort, Rudy Project, and Slow Twitch. Our next guest. No, she is not doing the Ironman. As much as she wanted to see if they have day of race registration.
Yeah.
Katie Zaferes, ranked number 5 in the world. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, it's gorgeous here.
So you are on a little vacation, right? The season is over for the moment.
Yep, for the moment. I took my 2-week break and I'm just getting back into things here. So
Yeah.
It's quite nice. It makes you want to get outside and do a little bit, explore a little bit. So I'm enjoying myself.
Getting in the triathlon, your background was steeplechase at Syracuse. How does someone go from steeplechase at Syracuse to the sport of triathlon?
You get recruited by USA Triathlon's collegiate recruitment program, or at least that's what it was for me. They
Barb
sought me
Lindquist
out.
called you up.
Yep.
And what, she talked to your coach first?
I forget whether she talked to my coach first or whether I brought it up to him, but basically the deal was I would not start focusing on triathlon until I was finished with my collegiate running career.
Yeah.
So as soon as I graduated, I dabbled a little bit during the off season and such, but I started committing myself to triathlon when I graduated and was done with Syracuse.
So were you aware of triathlon when you were younger, or was this something that you saw that, wait a second, they're starting to recruit people with good swimming and running backgrounds?
So I started in 2007. I started doing a Father's Day triathlon with my dad. Every year we would do it, and it was mainly him who talked me into it. I really just ran, and I did have some swimming ability, but he wanted to do it to get fit, and I was his partner in crime for the Father's Day try. So we did that a couple years, but nothing.
Yeah, nothing formal.
Nothing in between those 365 days.
So when you got recruited and you said yes, I'm going to go for it. What was the next step? Because basically it's 3 different sports that you're putting together, and riding the bike there's a lot of technology to it. There's a lot of technique.
Yeah, so the first thing was finding a more suitable bike, and they brought us out for camps. The collegiate recruitment program and the USAT development programs just do a fantastic job of accelerating my growth and experience as a triathlete. So they had camps. We went to the Olympic Training Center and were given the opportunity to live and train there with coaches and specialty coaches and any type of people or resources you really would need. And from there, it kind of 1 year after another, in 3 years, that's where it got me.
And what was the toughest part of learning to become a triathlete?
I don't know. I think they did a really fantastic job of making it pretty easy. I mean, there's still, I guess I give myself a little leadway because I consider myself as still new to the sport.
Right.
So there's still a lot of learning that I have to do and is yet to be done, especially with, you can learn to cycle enough to be in the races and be competitive, but there's still skills and tactics that I don't quite understand or have down pat quite yet. So that's probably been the most difficult part. But like the actual training of it, I think I came up through the slopes through it. I didn't ever feel like I was just thrown into things. So it was pretty gradual to get to the training base and training program that I'm at now, that I never really felt overwhelmed.
Right now, the U.S. is in a great position on the women's side. You've got Gwen Jorgensen ranked number 1 in the world. For most of the year, you were ranked number 2 in the world. Sarah Groff, number 3. There were races where all 3 of you were on the podium together this year.
Yeah, that was cool.
This was a breakthrough year for you personally. Gwen's won, 12 races in a row, but you had 5 or 6 podiums this year?
6 podiums.
6 podiums. So talk about the change from 2014 to 2015. Was it just a gradual learning a little bit more about your body, learning your body being able to handle a training load? What was it that led to this season?
I think, I got married in January to Tommy Zaferes.
Well, so that's the answer.
So that
right
was
there.
it. That's
Boom.
all you have to do. Get married to an awesome person, and you'll be set for life.
Yes.
No, but also I started with Joel Filial as my coach.
Yes.
And he has, I might have a biased opinion, but I also think that the results speak for themselves in saying that we have the best squad in the world right now. And so when you're training with the best in the world, those are the results you're going to get. Like, if you are challenged every day and they make me a better cyclist, they make me a better swimmer, they make me a better runner.
Right.
Just in general, you're surrounded by people who push you every day to be better, and that was a big part of it.
What was your career path before triathlon entered into your life? Were you about to start a real job?
I think I had so many little, spindles going off in my head. I had, those webs going off. One of the things, I had applied to grad school. I had already applied to be in the health, community health and health education in Towson I don't even know what it's called actually, Towson. And I ended up just putting that off and just not enrolling the next year, and possibly go to teach in the schools for physical education. That's what I graduated with. Those were probably my main things that I was going to do, but looking back, I'm like, wow, this is nice. And now I'm like, I don't know what I'll do next.
Got plenty of time to think about that.
I see nothing behind triathlon.
Yeah. So in Rio, you had to finish in the top 8 to get a spot, which you did.
Yeah.
Right? Got 6th, I think.
Yep.
But they were only going to take 2 Americans, and Americans are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and you guys got, you got 6th, and so Gwen and Sarah qualified.
Yep, 1st and 4th.
First and 4th. They got the spots. And how disappointing was that?
I was really disappointed, and at the same time,
because you did what any other country, or if you're on the guy side, you're in the games.
Yeah. It's super disappointing, but at the same time, when you look at us being on the podium at a couple races, we knew one of us wasn't going to make it.
Yes.
I really hoped that wasn't going to be me, but just knowing that possibility. So it's nice, right after Sarah True came up to me and she's like, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. And we had kind of made not a pact, but we had talked about, if one of us didn't make it, we would help each other to get there.
That's pretty cool.
And, I respect both Gwen and Sarah. It's not like someone came out of the blue that I was like, oh man, this just happened to be lucky. Those 2 girls deserve to be there just as much as I believe I do, hopefully.
So what is the process now to get you onto the team into Rio?
The first part is to find out what the qualifying event will be.
I've heard a couple of different things. I've heard Australia,
me too.
I heard Japan, I heard, yes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for confirmation on it. So once that happens, then we'll be able to build our season around that a bit more, because it's a big difference between if the qualifying race is Gold Coast, which is earlier in the season, to Japan, which is May. So it'll be a really big distinction in what we do.
And to get a guaranteed spot, you have to finish on the podium there, not top 8. You have to first, second, third.
And you have to be the first American on the podium.
Oh, so
who hasn't qualified
my God,
yet.
you have to be who hasn't qualified yet? So if they get first, if Gwen and Sarah get those 2 spots, and you're first American who hasn't qualified yet, do you get the spot?
It would come down to points and more of a the USA Triathlon would get a discretionary kind of thing.
Okay.
So we have a point system, and based off of that point system, what I did in Rio and Stockholm, just pretty much all of last year, should help me a lot.
Right.
And the nice thing was, even though I didn't have the race that I wanted in Chicago, nobody overtook me from behind.
Right.
So no one really had a standout race other than Gwen and Sarah. So I'm set up really well, but there's always those chances that
until
they choose
you're there,
someone
you're not
else.
there.
Yeah. There's always something.
When you look back at this last couple of years, because your career has been pretty short so far,
yeah.
What was your best race?
Oh, I don't know. For me, Abu Dhabi was really cool, because I had, over the past 2 years when I first started, I just wanted to get on the podium for WTS.
Yes.
So when I did it in Abu Dhabi, I was like super excited
Yeah.
because it was real. It was happening. Like what I'd always thought I was capable of, I was showing it. But then Auckland was pretty cool too this year because it had totally annihilated me last year. So getting second at that race,
Yes.
I mean, it's a tough course. It's one where you have to be technical on the bike, strong on the bike. It's an Olympic distance race. So that was also probably, for me, it was probably one of my proudest races just
Yes.
because last year I ended up, well, I had a bad ride in general. Then I ended up getting disqualified. So it was just,
Oh.
it was one of those where I'm like, I'm just going to finish. And I did. And I finished like pretty much third to last. But then I got disqualified and I was just like, oh dear. So it was nice to come back and get that race back.
You also had in 14, when you were racing in London, you find out that Tommy has had a heat issue down in Texas, and you're halfway around the world at the time. Talk a little bit about the challenges you were facing, and just the fact you had to get on a plane and not really know what Tommy was going through.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest, like one of the hardest days probably of my life, and the longest flights of my life was Tommy was in pretty bad shape after Dallas. He went to the hospital, ended up being intubated for I think 14 hours. I could be wrong, but anyways, when I got on the plane, I was originally supposed to be going to Florida to visit him, but he wasn't in Florida. He was in Dallas. So I had to change that flight to Florida, and when I left, I hadn't heard from him. But the awesome thing was I had, so Rob Canales from Roca, he happened to be at the race. He went to the hospital, was with Tommy there, was giving me as many updates as he could, and Courtney Kulik from USA Triathlon was doing the same. So I had a little bit of an idea that things were getting better, but I still hadn't heard from him, and he still wasn't awake. So I landed in Florida, and I had a smiley face text message from Tommy's phone knowing it was him, and it was like the best thing ever. And also because he was having memory issues, and I was worried he wouldn't remember me. We hadn't been in a relationship for that long, so so I was really excited that he remembered to text me that he was okay.
Wow. And how long was that process? He's in the hospital for a number of days and then out, and just getting the memory back and basically trying to figure out life again.
Yeah, like I think for both of us, I mean, it was a turning point for us both at that time. Like I was kind of going through changes anyway. Then he had the heat stroke, so then he was deciding, well, am I going to continue doing triathlon? Am I stopping? So we were both going through a huge transitional phase, and to be together at that time, I mean, we both went to Santa Cruz, California, and kind of figured everything out, and it's really neat to see how all of that has played out up till now, where Tommy at one point was still considering putting triathlon on the back burner for a little bit, and then this year he was fortunate enough, got a lot of opportunities and really took advantage of them, and was able to race at the Rio Test event and was our third American man there, and race in Hamburg and on the team relay. So yeah, it's been just neat to see how everything really has worked out for us.
What are your impressions of this place? And now, did you see the race last year?
Yeah, so we're super, Tommy and I are really lucky in that we have an awesome sponsor. Well, they're technically only women's endurance apparel, but Tommy gets in on the benefits and we both get invited out here with Core Sports.
Yes.
So they invited us last year for the first time, and that was our first experience watching the Ironman.
Yes.
And then I think I almost quit triathlon last year because I was riding on the Queen K, and it was just so hard, humid, windy, everything. I texted Joel, I was like, I'm done. He's like, you're done what? And I was like, triathlon. but like, it's really, I mean, obviously I already respect these people a lot and look at the ones who are doing long distance, and I'm just like, you're slightly crazy, but you're really strong and you're really amazing. So to actually be here and see it in person is just phenomenal, and to get to cheer them on and feel like I do a little bit to help maybe through those really tough moments, that's fun.
And hopefully one day you'll be doing not so much this race, but there are 70.3 races out there, Olympic distance non-drafting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good options. It's a good time to be a professional triathlete.
Yeah, for sure. It's a growing sport.
It is. Katie Zaferes, thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you.
All right, again, we are presented by ES Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar Timex La Roca. Tanya Porter, Rudy Project, Slow Twitch. Poncho Man, take us out.
Aole, ahila hila. Hone hone aole pilikia. Aole, ahila hila. Hone hone aole pilikia. Zaferes with Bob.
Poncho Man.